Bryce Mitchell. What are you doing? This is like it's almost, okay, look, there's so many things to unpack here, and I don't want to make light of this issue. I don't mean to make this a political thing. I more so just want to cover the issue and give my honest thoughts on the various different ways you can look at this. So Bryce Mitchell comes out on the podcast. I think he almost hits every single anti-Semitic talking point on the head. He's a Holocaust denier, thinks Hitler wasn't that bad of a guy, just very passionate. Of course, I'm kind of just, giving his loose talking points. If you want, the podcast is still up there. You can listen to it. But he kind of drums down that entire line of different, almost neo-Nazi-like talking points or white supremacist-esque talking points. I know it's become very, very popular now to question the Holocaust and its legitimacy, and Bryce Mitchell is no different. Can I say that I saw this coming? Absolutely not. I would not have had Bryce Mitchell being anti-Semitic on my bingo card for 2025. But the MMA news world always delivers. They always bring something new in to talk about. But this one really has me astounded. I mean, if you listen to some of the stuff he was saying, that Jewish people back then were charging interest because they wanted to insulate their jackets with money. He then ropes in World War II when his co-host, who, by the way, just does not, you could see it in his face, doesn't want to be there, brings up the fact that you can't just, enslave an entire race of people because there might be some outliers that are harming the community. He says, he was trying to keep Germany pure. That's where I noticed that this goes deeper than some of the other anti-Semitic rhetoric that I've personally heard on this issue. Like what I've heard that I sum it up as like diet anti-Semitism are the people that question the numbers of the Holocaust. The talking points that I normally see are those that don't really dive into the deep end of calling Hitler a good guy. Now, it's not to say that what those people say is not incredibly insensitive by questioning the numbers of the Holocaust. For me, it's always been, why should it matter how many people died? It's still a terrible, terrible thing. We don't question how many people were imprisoned in Stalin's Russia. We don't even question the official numbers of how many people were killed in all these genocides that take place in different continents and have taken place in continents all over the place for years. But this is a different level from Bryce Mitchell that I haven't seen many other places besides what I would imagine a neo-Nazi meeting would be like. Like, you have these right-wing figures, right, fresh and fit. They'll kind of lightly play with the idea of denying the Holocaust. Bryce Mitchell just went boom, straight in. Hitler was a decent guy, a guy that I like to go fishing with. He does preface it by saying, well, I don't know if he'd be the most trustworthy guy in the world, but I would take him fishing. He cites some of the reasons for liking Hitler. It's such a curveball out of left field that I never saw coming. I was a fan of his. I enjoy his style of fighting. I think he's a really fun fighter, and I was rooting for him in that Kron Gracie fight before I knew about all this stuff. It just sucks because you hear someone that has kind of got this off the mat thinking, and I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with like trying to find out information for yourself, but this person that it seems like has this information, but also has a deep-seated, I don't want to say hatred, but let's just say dismay maybe for Jewish people. That's really the part that gets me upset, and it has me sad because Bryce, from the other interviews I saw, didn't strike me as that type of guy. He seemed like a very genuine dude. Things get put in perspective, and unfortunately, you can't just move on from something like this. This is not something where you can repair and you can walk it back. Because when I saw the quote on Instagram, I always just try to assume that the media will try and sensationalize things to a certain point. And so when I saw the quote, I thought, okay, I want to see what he said to get a fair and honest, objective opinion on it. And this is the first time that me and my friends saw something and thought it was worse than what the quote portrayed. Because there's so much after the fact that he goes on to say. He also uses a slang term for Japanese in World War II, calls them Japs. Every man has to have his own viewpoint, and you have to respect that because it is America, and I truly do believe fundamentally that is one of the things that makes this country so great, is that you can have someone that lives in the woods and believes that UFOs are real, and their voice carries the same weight as someone that doesn't believe in UFOs at all. Even with free speech, should you voice certain opinions? That's up to the man or the woman that says it to decide. I also wonder what made Mitchell feel so emboldened as to say these things. Like, he had to expect there would have been backlash to this and that Dana White would have come out and that he was potentially playing with his career, because the UFC values free speech again, and that goes on all sides of the spectrum, and that's one of the things, again, that I appreciate about Dana. But I thought that could have been something where he realistically did get cut for that. So I wonder what what kind of in his mind gave him the green light to just go out on a podcast and say this. Again, I get where people want to be explorative with historical events, and everyone should have the right to look into these things and find their own opinions from them. My perspective has always been, even if the numbers are not accurate on the totals from the Holocaust, it's still a mass genocide with the intention of wiping out a group of people. That, in my book, makes you the worst of worst. You know what I mean? Like that, and that's why I always feel like sometimes when people question the official narrative of the Holocaust, what difference does it make? Like, are these people expecting there to be some sort of a threshold or a cutoff where the numbers would somehow not be as bad or more okay? I just never understood that. There's still the intention, like I said, and there's still the fact that, yeah, look, if you're off by a smidgen and the smidgen is 6 million, you don't think that falls somewhere in the ballpark of 3 to 4 million, 1 to 2 million? Not to mention they had doctors performing surgery on people and doing all these inhumane things. Working camps with inhumane conditions are still inhumane. And yeah, was Hitler really passionate about Germany? Sure, but it's what it turned into. And it's the beliefs that he had that he brought into his regime that ended up causing this monstrosity of an event to take place, no matter the number. And that's the thing that Bryce Mitchell doesn't understand. And I'm honestly going to go ahead and say it, the way he talks in this, and I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt, comes off as if he really has a problem with Jewish people. I know right now it's not the popular thing to defend Jewish people, but I have to say it really comes from, I think, a place of misinformation and some sort of deep-seated something that he has to deal with. Whether it's sending him to New York so he can experience new cultures. I don't know if they have many new cultures in Arkansas, or if it's just like white Anglo-Saxon Christians roaming around in the middle of the country over there. And the whole work camp comment, like, dude, there's documented instances. There were documented instances of people getting gassed in showers. So this idea that, like, yeah, oh, it was just like a whoopsie, we brought people in here and now they can't work. We're so knuckleheaded for not having the foresight to get all really healthy people in here and feed them food. I guess we'll just go ahead and throw them in a ditch and shoot them. Like, dude, they were burning people in pits that they shot because they weren't fit to work. Even if their goal was not to exterminate Jewish people, then they still murdered so many people that were unfit to work. Take an unmarked group of people. If I had them in a workers' camp, and then when they were unfit to work, let's just say a 90, 80-year-old grandma was unfit to work, and I took out a handgun and I shot her in the back of the head and kicked her into a ditch, the moral judgment there would be unquestioned. It would be a terrible thing to do. But there's something there, and I don't want to speak on what it is because I want to do more research and understanding why people have these viewpoints. There's something there to make them want to question what was going on or what the motives were. Sorry about a more serious video today, guys. I just felt the need to cover this. It's a big story, and I wanted to give my 2 cents. I'm sure there will be people disagreeing with me in the comments. If you do, keep it civil. I'm open to having dialogue. I'm not going to jump down your throat, and I ask you not to jump down mine. Without further ado, it's been your boy, the combat consultant, the soundboard guy, Jacob Koopman, and I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.